Our top story at 4, thunderstorms rolling through the DMV this afternoon as we are under a severe alert. You're looking live at Route 7 in Lansdowne, just west of Dulles Airport.
Yeah, and you just heard them there, meteorologists Steve Rudin and Mark Pena. They are on your side monitoring the latest forecast, what's happening out there. We'll start with Steve. Walk us through what you're seeing and what you expect over the next few hours, Steve.
All righty, so we are going to be in the thick of it right now, at least for the next hour or so for the metro area, and then we're going to see a vast improvement come 6, 7, 8 o'clock as that secondary line of storms moves on through. But right now, primary focus, very large, severe thunderstorm warning. You can see it right over here, and you see that it is shaded with those lines going through it. That means that it has been tagged as considerable. Now, just about 5 minutes ago, we had a severe thunderstorm warning that was tagged at destructive with winds upwards of 80 miles per hour. Now, these winds are clocked at around 70, moving to the east at around 50. So city of Fairfax over into Mantua and Reston, you're just on the leading edge of these strong to severe thunderstorms, and it will eventually impact not only the western edge of the Capital Beltway, but will make its way through the city and then eventually exit off toward the north and east. And you can see that trajectory over toward the district and then eventually over toward Laurel and then eventually toward Bowie. But this is now until 4:45. So this is a long-standing severe thunderstorm warning that we have here, and this is all part of a cold front. Now, this is not the actual cold front that's moving through right now. This is the leading edge of it. The actual cold front is going to arrive here in another couple of hours with perhaps a few stronger thunderstorms and showers, and once we get that out of here, that is when we're finally going to have some relief from the heat and the humidity. Mark Pena has been busy and back. He's been checking out cameras and radar for us.
Yep.
And Mark, what are some of the updates that you have for us?
The storms are approaching Tysons, and we got a pretty hefty shelf cloud moving in. The shelf cloud is indication that there's some very cold air coming in from these showers moving in at this time. A lot of wind gusts being reported, about 60 to 70 miles per hour from the National Weather Service on our Slack channel with them, as well as numerous trees down. Again, I want to reiterate that the intersection of Trailhead Drive and US 50 near the Little River Turnpike has numerous trees down, as well as VA 55, the John Marshall Highway between Haymarket and Gainesville. Numerous trees reported down there as well. Now, Steve, as these storms continue to move towards the metro, I can only imagine that we're going to see more reports of this. So if you're hearing us right now and you're about to hit the roads, maybe on your evening commute home, it might be sunny where you're at, but these storms are moving very fast, and they will be approaching the area within the next half hour to an hour. So if you're on the fence about leaving, ride this storm out indoors and off the roads because, again, these storms are confirming these strong winds at about 60 to 70 miles per hour with gusts as high as 80 miles per hour.
All right, so Mark, I just want to show our viewers some cameras around the area. We have a huge network of cameras across the DMV. This is our vantage point from National Harbor, looking across the river toward Wilson Bridge and Old Town Alexandria and Reagan National Airport. What you see on the other corner there is over toward Tyson's Corner, and you can see the skies are rapidly getting darker and darker. If it's not raining where you are right now, most likely that is the case if you are in the district or in Arlington or in Old Town Alexandria. Severe weather is at your very back doorstep, and this is the time where you need to get inside, collect the kids. A lot of kids are out of school now, and the pets, perhaps time to take them for a walk. Put it off for about another hour or so. I do want to show you our camera from Dulles International Airport, where skies are now beginning to brighten. So good news there. The visual that you see on the right-hand side of your screen, that is our camera from atop the Watergate Hotel, and that is looking toward Key Bridge and Georgetown, and then off toward the north and west over toward Potomac, and then over toward the Bethesda area. Do want to show you another vantage point here. This is our roof camera here in Roslyn, looking across the city. There's lots of blue sky out there right now, but as mentioned, that is going to change very, very quickly, and this is the reason why we have that rapidly approaching line of severe thunderstorms that will continue to move on off toward the east, moving at around 50 miles per hour. Right now, we'll head in a little bit closer. Reston Charleston, you're getting in on it, just about to, over toward Potomac Falls. Outside of the Warren area, Poolsville, but still, you're going to see some pretty gusty winds out there over the next, I would say, 15 to 20 minutes or so. But if you are watching us right now in Fairfax or over into Burke and then Lake Barcroft area, even though it's not raining where you are right now, you are going to find this powerful storm that's been tad considerable, a notch down from destructive, that's going to move your way with wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour. And the good news, we're not looking at rotation here in terms of tornadoes, but 70-mile-per-hour winds, gusty winds, I should say, along with those torrential rains is definitely going to slow things down. And that is going to be the situation, at least as we move through the next hour or so. Now, keep in mind, we are going to see this initial line move through. And once that clears, things should start to settle down across the metro area. But behind that, we have another front that's going to move on through. And that front, the cold front, that's what will bring us some relief from the heat and the humidity that we've experienced over the last couple of days, giving us a brief break for the day tomorrow and then into part of the day on Saturday. But just want you to be warned, once we get through the severe weather today and the quiet days on Friday and Saturday, the heat is going to build tremendously moving into the early next week.
And Steve, I know you and Mark have been on this, which we truly appreciate. You did mention just a little bit ago if people can get kind of inside, maybe an enclosed bathroom away from the windows. Are you still asking people to do that?
At this point, now that we don't have the destructive key on this or the tag, I mean, it's still plenty dangerous out there. You don't want to be outside. You definitely don't want to be near windows during a severe thunderstorm. But the urgency is still there, but perhaps not as great as it was just about 15 minutes ago when we had the destructive tag on that severe thunderstorm warning that has now morphed a little bit. Winds still upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour, and this forward movement is at around 50 miles per hour. So it is going to zip in and out of here rather quickly. If you're going 50 miles per hour on the Beltway, how long that takes you to get from point A to point B, and you can zip around pretty quickly. And with a storm, you don't have to deal with rush hour traffic. You just go at it, and it's going to move on off toward the east. On top of that, we have another severe thunderstorm warnings, or several, that are down toward the south and west of us. But this right here, this is the big one that we're looking at right now that is going to be very impactful as we head through the next hour or so, especially for those inside and around the Beltway, and of course, the most densely populated area of our community.
Steve, you were also talking about Dulles, flights out of Dulles, and I think some of the other impacts, I know Mark mentioned also multiple reports already of trees being down across the area. That is likely going to slow people down if they're commuting, and another reason to just stay off the roads right now, because some of those areas are probably going to get congested. And of course, Dulles, you mentioned, is going to be impacted by this.
And Steve, I know you always tell us to have our First Alert Weather app on our phone. That is where you post everything that we need to know when it comes to these severe storms. What should people do once the storm has passed and they don't have the First Alert Weather app? They should definitely download for the next time, because you guys are always on this.
Absolutely. So, here we have this severe thunderstorm warning that's out there right now. And once this line moves through, it is going to get quieter out there. So good news there. And I don't like to instill panic in anyone, but Winchester and Front Royal, you're fine. You're in the clear, at least from this line of storms. It is well to the east. The bigger concern are all areas that are now inside and around the Capital Beltway as this continues to move on off toward the east. And the entire district, all of Arlington, all of Alexandria, down to Mount Vernon. And this is where we're seeing not only the heavy rain, the gusty winds, along with a lot of thunder and lightning. So we'll head in a little bit closer for you. It's not raining a drop yet in the district, but that's going to change. Mark, any updates for us?
Lots of downed trees coming in on our channel here. Specifically, I've got intersection of Maryland Route 26 and Clee Mill Road. Large trees down onto the roadway there. Several large trees blown down around Dayton, including the 200 block of Sunset Drive and Slab Road. We're also tracking trees blown down on Maryland 25, Falls Road near Benson Mill Road. So what I want to focus on, if we can take Max 1 in the control room, please. The leading edge, this bow that we're seeing here along this line of storms, pretty much approaching the far western portion of the Capitol Beltway right now. This is where the strongest winds are going to be along this leading edge of this particular cell here. So what I want to indicate here is that while we do have active warnings all up and down this line, it's this leading edge approaching the far western corner of Arlington right now, about to cross the river into the district. This is where we're going to be seeing wind gusts up to 60, 70, and even close to 80 miles per hour. This is going to be the leading edge. This is going to be where the strongest winds are going to be, but also, as Steve has been mentioning, it's a very narrow line of storm. So while it's approaching the Capitol Beltway, areas out towards Middleburg, out towards Loudoun County, you're already in the clear. So along with the heavy rainfall and the gusty winds, a lot of lightning showing up here as well. So if you're outside, if you know people who are outside, contact them, make sure that they're getting indoors, because along with this, there's sunshine on the opposite side of the Capitol Beltway right now. So this might be catching people off guard. So we want to make sure that we're getting the word out to anybody that might be outside to come indoors, away from windows, because while that destructive tag has been allowed to expire, it's this leading edge of this bow right here. We call it a bow echo on radar. That's where the strongest winds are going to be. So areas like Bethesda, you're going to be wanting to take this inside. McLean, you're probably getting the worst of it right now. Highview Park, Northwest DC, Bailey's Crossroads, this edge right here along this bow of this storm will be where the strongest winds are. And we can even see it approaching now, the tower camera here. I can pull this up if you give me just a moment. That this is going to be where we can see some of the strongest winds. This is our tower camera facing northwest, and as you can see, you'll start to see the trees disappear as this heavy rain begins to move on in. I do expect more reports of downed trees as this approaches the metro in a highly populated area, so be very careful of that. We've had just this year, Steve, of trees falling down on homes, and with how saturated our soils are, especially since yesterday, some areas got an inch of rain. I do expect a lot of trees down as the storm moves on through.
Absolutely, and traffic is going to be impacted dramatically by this line of storms as it moves across the area. Do want to give you a quick shot for you right now. What you're looking at on the right-hand side, that is from our tower camera. Skies are definitely getting a lot darker. I'm going to just pan over here to our camera that is atop the Salamander overlooking Roslyn here, and the storms have yet to arrive, and I am tracking one plane that is now about to land at Reagan National Airport. You can see it there, and there is a ground stop at Dulles International. There's a ground stop at BWI Marshall, and now there is a ground stop over at Reagan National. I suspect the plane that we just saw that is just about to land is the last one that's going to come in until the line of storms finally moves on through. We're going to get an update on power outages for us right now.
Yeah, we're tracking thousands of those already so far. We have checked with Dominion's power outage tracker online. More than 18,000 people have lost power so far in Northern Virginia. Most of that there in Loudoun. You can see Loudoun County, almost 13,000 without power, numbers rising there in Fairfax as well, and Fauquier. So that is another impact. If you have not lost power, we want to remind you, charge your devices right now. At least as Victoria was saying, you can have your app, you can watch, follow along, have communication with family members, loved ones. If someone is coming home, if you can contact them and let them know to stay off the roads, to hold off for a bit, you might want to do that right now.
And we know it's getting closer to dinner time, but if you do not have power, do not open your refrigerator or your freezer. Keep that cold air in there to keep your food preserved for as long as you can. This might be a night for peanut butter sandwiches, Megan.
This is the night.
Yes, something where you can't use the microwave, you can't open your fridge. You're going to want to do that because, again, you don't want your food to spoil, so keep that cold air inside.
All right, I got an update on the local airports for you. Thunderstorms often wreak havoc around here, and no change here. BWI Marshall, a ground stop now until 5 o'clock. Another 45 minutes to go there. Reagan National Airport, ground stop until 5:30, so another hour and 15 minutes. And Dulles International Airport, your ground stop now is just about to be lifted at 4:15. We'll see whether or not that's extended over the next few minutes or so. We are looking at storm track for you. heavy rain continues to fall, and these storms are moving on off toward the east at around 50 miles per hour, and skies are already darkening very, very quickly. If we could take max number 2, and you can see our vantage point over toward National Harbor, from National Harbor, and that's overlooking Wilson Bridge and the Capitol Wheel. I did see the water taxi come in just a few minutes ago, but the skies are rapidly changing, and this is the reason why we have this storm, this strong line of thunderstorms, now considerable with wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour that are impacting now at this point McLean and Annandale over toward West Springfield and the Mixing Bowl. Very, very busy areas this time of day, and then of course this time of evening, even on a Wednesday. We can see storm track there moving swiftly in the wet weather. Windshield wipers are moving briskly, but the rain continues to fall as this line continues to move on off toward the east at around 50 miles per hour.
And fast-moving storm here, Steve. And again, you said this is moving east. McLean getting the worst of it right now. About what time do you anticipate this hitting D.C. proper, the district area?
I would say within the next 15 to 20 minutes. So there's not a whole lot of time. And at this point, you know, this is like one of those things where you just want to make sure that everything is secure around your house and make sure the kids are in place, the pets and the patio furniture perhaps is secured. And in terms of doing anything extreme to clear anything, I wouldn't bother at this point if you're watching us in Fairfax, because you just at this point have run out of time. But if you are over in Northeast DC or over into Anacostia, skies are rapidly getting darker, faster and faster as the storm moves on off toward the east. And I wanted to just widen this out for you, and this tell you some good news here is that once we get this initial line through, this isn't the actual cold front, it's the leading edge, but we're going to see conditions begin to become a little bit more favorable to improving weather. It's not going to all of a sudden turn instantly beautiful with a beautiful sunset at around 8:36 as we're nearing some of our longest daylight hours of the year, but we are going to continue to track this as it moves on off toward the east. We also have another severe thunderstorm warning south of this that is more of a standard variety severe thunderstorm warning over towards Stafford. I believe we have is this a picture? Okay, so here we are, a picture in Falls Church of the Idlewood area, and a live view for you of a downed tree. So, you know, a lot of wind, 70, 80 mile per hour winds. We have saturated grounds, a lot of old growth trees across the DMV. We're all familiar with that. And very often it just takes a 70 or 80 mile per hour wind, even a brief gust, to become destructive. And we've seen that over the last couple of weeks around here with some of these stronger storms that have moved on through. Leesburg, you're in the clear. Good news there. Reston, you are almost severe clear as this cell moves on out of your area. Manassas, you are just about to be severe clear as we head through the next, I would say, 10 minutes or so. But other areas inside, around the Beltway, the GW Parkway, south of the Capitol Beltway, we had a tremendous amount of problems during the last strong severe thunderstorm. That's going to be impacting 95 and the GW Parkway over the next 15 to 20 minutes. And then we also have a live camera view, and that I believe is over from our Salamander camera, the tidal basin. And you can see there's the rain just moving into the downtown DC. So if you're downtown at this point, it is too late to pick up the garden furniture at this point. You're pretty much stay inside because there are the winds. Maybe we could take that full, we can watch that closely here, and you can see how this destructive storm or considerable storm moves on through.
Steve, if you can hear us, I'm looking at the Dominion Energy outage map right now, and it just updated. Just like you said, from west to east, you see more of these alerts popping up, and it says these outage causes are the storm and that they have crews dispatched. But it just amazing looking at how many places are without power right now because of the storm moving. As you can see, it's truly hard to see through the rain showers.
Yeah, and what you're looking at right now, that is from atop the Salamander, and normally we would see the Roslyn skyline and the Lincoln Memorial from that vantage point. You can also see some flashes from thunder and lightning, and that's going to be the case as we head through the next, I would say at least the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. But once we get this initial line through, things are going to definitely begin to quiet down just a bit. I'm going to switch this over to our National Harbor camera. You can see that right there. And the skies are plenty dark, but what you're seeing over the district, that's what's eventually going to move through. Tyson's now seeing a little bit of brighter skies, a brightening of the skies, and so good news there. But we are watching this severe thunderstorm warning that continues to progress toward the east, and that is going to be the case as we head through the next half hour or so as it moves around 50 miles per hour, and it is going to be impactful. Areas inside and around the Beltway likely slowing things down for traffic across the area with the heavy rain along with those gusty winds. Should also note we have a severe thunderstorm watch that remains in effect until 9 o'clock, but I do suspect that that will come down ahead of schedule.
Steve, if you are commuting out of D.C., if you're commuting west toward McLean, Tyson's, how long would you recommend staying put as this line moves through?
At this point, if you're heading west from Tyson's, you're going to be okay. You're likely going to run into a few showers, a few storms, especially over the next hour or two, but they're not going to be anything like the significant, more impactful line that we have moving across the area right now. I'm looking at our camera over toward the Salamander, and now the visibility is down to absolutely nothing as this continues to race on off toward the east at around 50 miles per hour. And these strong storms are going to continue to move rapidly across the area. And I should note that, this is all part of a cold front. This is the leading edge of the cold front, and this is the initial push. Today was our fourth 90-degree day so far this year, our second day of 90-degree plus in a row, and the atmosphere is definitely primed and energized with lots and lots of fuel and energy to get through this. But, the good news, what these thunderstorms are going to do, it's going to cool things down. It's going to help stabilize the atmosphere a little bit, so there's not going to be quite as much energy to work with as we head through the next several hours, especially with the sun going down, and we are going to look for those conditions to begin to improve as we head through the early part of the evening. And I would say by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock tonight, most, if not all of this, is going to be completely done with. So good news there.
And we are hearing that thunder right outside our studio in Roslyn, and it is quite loud. And what we need to have everyone remember is that even when these storms do pass through and there are clear skies, there are chances that trees could still fall because of the ground saturation. So please stay inside so you do not experience any of this right now. We have thunder, possibly lightning, I saw, Megan, and also those trees, very, very dangerous, could be fatal.
It is so dangerous, and we do want to remind anyone, just for future reference, if you're watching right now, you're likely not driving, but just for future reference, if you are caught in this while you're driving, this is per the National Weather Service, keep your both hands on the wheel and slow it down. Take it slow if you are ever caught in something like this out on the roadways.
And watch for motorcyclists, because those who went to work this morning, it was clear skies. If they're heading home, you want to make sure that you are keeping an eye out for the motorcyclists that are on the road right now. Possibly, I know I see this a lot under underpasses, overpasses, they'll kind of pull off to the side. So just be mindful of that if you are on the road.
And we're looking at these pictures here. We have 4 live pictures and the White House, and you can see definitely rain coming down heavily. And then we have our roof camera, and that is looking over toward the district. And then to the lower left-hand corner, that is our National Harbor view. And the rain, it's arriving, and it's just beginning to move into National Harbor. And we are going to rapidly see conditions deteriorate. Wilson Bridge, Old Town Alexandria, right before our eyes. You can see the Capitol wheel very clearly right now, but I can almost guarantee that within the next, I would say, 5 minutes or so, or even less than that, we're going to see the Wilson Bridge begin to fade, and then we're hardly going to be able to see the Capitol wheel. But thankfully, it looks like everyone is off the boardwalk there over at National Harbor, and the severe thunderstorm warning does continue until until 4:45. It's been tad considerable by the National Weather Service. Not destructive, but still with winds perhaps upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour, and a strong severe thunderstorm that's going to move across the metro area, continues to move across to the area. Tom has an update on the local airports.
And there is an update from what you said a few minutes ago, Steve. Behind me here, this is from the Federal Aviation Administration, and let me blow it up here for you. It says, for BWI Marshall, there's a ground stop right now, and it says due to thunderstorms. No surprise there. Also, DCA, Reagan National, a ground stop as well. For Dulles, it says updated. It went away a few moments ago, but now it's back. They have a ground stop again, even though the worst of it, based on what you said, Steve, seems to be through Dulles. It is still currently under a ground stop. Just to remind you of what a ground stop is and what that means. What that means is planes elsewhere in the country that want to take off and land at the local airports, those planes have to wait to take off. They don't want them taking off and winding up in terrible weather, so they make them wait for a while. So this affects planes that are going to be coming into the airports. It obviously is affecting planes taking off as well. Some of those are delayed, but what a ground stop is, it affects planes elsewhere that are going to come here. So for instance, you need to pick somebody up at the airport tonight, there's a very good chance their flight is going to be delayed, so check on that. So that's what's going on right now. Currently at this moment, there are ground stops at all three of the major local airports.
And I'm just checking, Tom, on Flight Radar 24 that we have a lot of international flights that come in this time of day, and we do have flights that are landing now at Dulles International Airport from Frankfurt, from Abu Dhabi coming in. I see another one here that's coming in from London, and so those are all landing because they're on the other side of this storm, but I'm not seeing anything landing or taking off from Reagan National Airport for very good reason why, and then the same over toward BWI Marshall. Now there's our screen once again, 4 live cameras for you, storm track in the upper right-hand corner, and traffic looks like it's moving fine. The pavement is really wet. All depends on where you're located. Then we have the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. You can see the heavy rain, and then just to the right or left of that, it's over toward National Harbor, and you can see that the Wilson Bridge is now quickly beginning to fade, and maybe we'll take that wide and we'll see this come on in because we're going to see a dramatic difference as we head through the next I would say 2 or 3 minutes here. You can see the chop really beginning to pick up on the Potomac River, and now the Wilson Bridge, you can see the southern flank of it toward Alexandria has now disappeared, and you can still barely make out the portion that moves into Oxon Hill National Harbor area, but you can see those winds are definitely beginning to pick up, and the Capitol Wheel is now at a standstill. Can guarantee you that they're not going to run that, at least for not right now, and we're going to continue to watch the severe thunderstorm that's going to move through the National Harbor, Old Town Alexandria area over the next, I would say, 5 to 8 minutes or so, rapidly moving off toward the east at around 50 miles per hour. So things are deteriorating, and I need to stress that if you're watching us over toward Tyson's, your skies are beginning to brighten up just a little bit. Tom has a little update for us.
Yeah, well, you mentioned, Steve, about how this was affecting not just planes that want to come here. They're being told at the moment, hold off, don't take off for this area. But this is Flight Radar 24, which you mentioned. This is Reagan National Airport. Now, normally, if you look at this during a normal time of day, you'll see planes slowly moving all around, getting ready to take off, lining up to do so. One thing you'll notice, these planes right here, they're not moving very much. So clearly, planes are not taking off at the moment from Reagan National Airport due to this weather hitting so bad there right now. Let's check how it is at BWI Marshall up to the north here. Let's go to Glen Burnie, and you can see looks like a similar situation there. You're not seeing a lot of plane movement at the moment. Again, normally you would check at this and they'd be moving around, getting ready to take off. And why don't we just go west to Dulles so we can check that out as well. Easy to find because of the big cluster of planes. And it looks like they may be starting to take off here. We'd have to watch a moment to be sure, but they're at least in position to in some cases, but not a lot of movement here either. You're not seeing much here at Dulles Airport. Actually, if you look at the top of your screen right now, there is a plane that appears to be, let's check it out, hit it here, just landed there, and that one is from Greenville, Spartanburg. So keep in mind, ground stop means any plane that wants to take off to come here, it can't take off, but of course some planes were already in the air long before these storms hit the D.C. area.
Tom, I have a question for you. How is this going to affect airports around the country? Is it going to?
Well, there's always a ripple effect. So, I mean, anywhere in the country that was expecting flights from any of the 3 major airports around here, they're going to see some delays in those flights coming in. But the biggest impact will definitely be locally. Again, if you have to pick somebody up later, good chance their flight is going to be late, especially if it was supposed to take off in the last hour or so. And then also, if you have a flight, there's a good chance there'll be delays because airlines these days schedule everything so tight that anything like this will throw them off for the rest of the day, and there'll be a lot of chaos. So
You also have to keep in mind that we have big hubs here in the Washington area. United is based over at Dulles International Airport, their hub, and that's a big network of flights coming and going. Reagan National, we have American Airlines, and then over toward BWI Marshall, Southwest Airlines is the dominant carrier, and Southwest works on this hub and spoke type of formula, and it could be very detrimental for their scheduling as we head through the next even like 12 to 24 hours. So we're going to see this ripple effect. We know what a small thunderstorm can do at Reagan National or at Dulles, and know all of our patients have worn thin at times at the local airports, but this is definitely going to be one of the cases where you'd rather be on the ground than in the air or trying to land at this point, especially in one of these stronger thunderstorms. So I want to show you this here, and I have some good news for you. I want to paint the better picture for you. Potomac Falls, Reston, you're now in the clear. Manassas, you're also in the clear. Marshall, Virginia, in the clear. Warrenton, also in the clear. Frederick, Maryland, no worries at all. A few more showers for you. Hagerstown, you're drying up, at least for right now. The strongest, the storms have now crossed 270. So good news there, with most of the heavier rain now moving out of Montgomery County, and then we have that line that's just beginning to exit or move out of the district over toward Northeast DC, Trinidad, and we're going to see that trend continue, but that heavy rainfall does continue over toward Mount Vernon or over toward Reagan National Airport, and then over down toward Montclair, excuse me, and as all this moves on off toward the north and east. Now behind all this, it's going to get a little bit quieter, so good news there. It's not going to totally settle down instantly, but we are going to see improving conditions as the storms move out of the region and then off toward the north and east, and then eventually will bring bigger problems to parts of Delmarva, and then if you have travel plans or family up in Philadelphia and perhaps even over into New York City.
And Steve, if we can, we're going to come back to you in just a second. Controller, yes, exactly. I wanted to go back to those local power outages. As you can see, Dominion, more than 60,000 customers that do not have power right now. And I'm looking right now at the Dominion outage map, and it looks like crews are being sent out to these areas. But when you have more than 60,000 customers, this is not people. These are households. Yeah. These could be apartment buildings. So a lot of people without power. So if you're watching us on the app or online, we appreciate you, but make sure you do save some of that battery juice on your phone, because this could take hours, if not more than a day, to restore the power.